In the third year of our relationship, Liu Ruyan went abroad. She came from a privileged family, had fair skin and stunning looks, while I was plain and unremarkable, someone who could easily disappear in a crowd. Despite the challenges of a long-distance relationship, we stayed the same, talking about our lives over the phone every day. Amid the mundane and trivial topics, we found a small sense of connection and solace. On our 5th anniversary, I used the money I had saved for a long time to buy a ticket to visit her. I waited for a long time outside her villa, only to see her nestled in the arms of another man, her smile radiant. The moment she saw me, the smile on Liu Ruyan's face disappeared, replaced by a cold, distant expression. "Why are you here? It's so far from home. What if something happened? How could you not tell me?" Despite her frown, she broke free from the man's embrace, tiptoed, and gently touched my face. "It's much colder here than back home. Why are you dressed so lightly?" I sniffled and replied in a hoarse voice, "I tried calling you, but no one answered. I even sent you messages." Liu Ruyan's eyes flickered with uncertainty. "I was busy earlier. I didn't check my phone." The man standing nearby suddenly chuckled and spoke up confidently, "Luigi, sorry about that. You were busy earlier, so I thought it was a spam call and declined it." My heart sank. It hit me that as Liu Ruyan's boyfriend, I didn't even deserve a proper contact label. Liu Ruyan nodded lightly, showing no sign of blaming him. Instead, she casually introduced me, "This is my boyfriend." The man smiled warmly and extended his hand. "Hello, I'm Ida Shiro. Nice to meet you." Ida Shiro was exceptionally handsome, his sunny smile making it hard to dislike him. In contrast, I wore ordinary clothes, with exhaustion from the journey evident on my face. At that moment, the two of them standing together looked more like a couple than we did. Liu Ruyan playfully rolled her eyes at Ida Shiro, a mix of mock annoyance and teasing in her expression, as she lightly kicked him. "Don't mind him. He's just like that, always presumptuous. But he's a good person and takes care of me." Ida Shiro didn't dodge and responded naturally, "How could I dare bully you? It's always you bullying me." As we walked together, the two of them chatted and laughed, while I felt like an outsider, out of place. When we entered the villa, it finally struck me, and I tentatively asked, "Do you two live together?" Liu Ruyan nodded casually, "It's lonely living alone most of the time. Since the place is so big, I let him stay to keep me company." Ida Shiro lightly patted Liu Ruyan's shoulder and joked, "Are you sure you're not just scared to be alone?" Liu Ruyan immediately swung her fist at him. "You're hardly someone who makes me feel safe." I didn't respond, just let my eyes wander around. The house was spacious and tastefully furnished, with some familiar touches. They were the same backgrounds I'd often seen during our video calls. Ida Shiro took off his jacket and went to the bathroom, while Liu Ruyan led me to the guest room. Standing by the door, her tone was calm and unreadable, "You really didn't have to come. What if something happened to you? It's not worth it." She was right, it wasn't worth it. I shouldn't have come. I didn't ask who Ida Shiro was, nor did I question why she had been in his arms. The excitement, anticipation, and nervousness I'd felt before the trip had been worn down during the long wait, leaving me with nothing but emptiness. Suddenly, the bathroom light went out. Soft footsteps approached, carrying a faint fragrance. In the moonlight streaming through the window, I saw Liu Ruyan's enchanting face, her eyes filled with desire. Before coming here, I had envisioned the life we'd share after reuniting, carefully planning and dreaming about it. But now, there was only one thought in my mind, to escape. Let us sleep. I'm a bit tired. I turned my head away and spoke in a hoarse voice. Liu Ruyan's expression shifted. She suddenly leaned down, burying her face in the crook of my arm. "Are you angry? Overwhelmed with work lately, I've neglected you." Liu Ruyan pushed my arm back and forth, his voice tinged with a playful whine. Seeing that I still didn't respond, he sighed softly and slipped under the blanket, snuggling into my arms. After 2 years, I once again felt the warmth in my embrace, yet it no longer felt familiar. In the darkness, the sudden ringing of a phone broke the silence. Assuming it was my phone, I instinctively reached out, only to realize something was off. It was Liu Ruyan's phone. The ringtone was still the song we had chosen together. The lit-up screen displayed the words "Big Bad Ida Shiro." In the next second, Liu Ruyan snatched the phone away. "Haven't I told you not to touch my things without permission?" His voice was cold as he got up quickly and moved to the sofa. "Go to sleep first. I have something urgent to handle." As he turned away, I caught a glimpse of an uncontrollable smile on his face. "My boyfriend is going to sleep, so stop calling me for no reason." As I watched, Liu Ruyan's fingers danced across the screen, sometimes pressing his lips together in a smile, sometimes swinging his legs. For the next half hour, his gaze stayed fixed on the screen, his lips curling with happiness. Perhaps this so-called urgent matter was merely replying to Ida Shiro's messages. I turned over, making a slight noise, which finally drew his attention. He looked up, an apologetic expression crossing his face. "You know, I've been really busy lately, and some things haven't been going smoothly. Thank goodness for Ida Shiro. Without his help, I don't know what I would be done." When he mentioned Ida Shiro, his eyes sparkled like jewels. I've never met a guy as impressive as him. He picks things up instantly, as if nothing in the world could stump him. You seem to know him well. As soon as I said that, Liu Ruyan's face turned cold. Are you done? How long are you going to push me? Did you come all the way here just to argue with me? Liu Ruyan had never been an outstanding student, but she was exceptionally beautiful. With her big eyes, curvaceous figure, and fair skin, she was recognized as the campus beauty the moment she enrolled. Her sunny and outgoing personality made her widely adored, but her carefree attitude also drew criticism and gossip, including a popular saying, Liu Ruyan doesn't come to school to study, she comes to have fun. I, on the other hand, was known for my academic excellence but came from a broken family. My father a drunkard, my mother obsessed with gambling. Constant abuse shaped me into someone withdrawn and uncommunicative. Good grades didn't make up for the lack of friends or the constant bullying I endured. I became increasingly sensitive and threw myself into studying, using it as a distraction. Then Liu Ruyan appeared, tearing through the darkness and becoming the only light in my ruined world. When school bullies raised their fists at me, she would step in, pulling them away with a cheerful smile, giving me room to breathe. When my family erupted in chaos, she would silently stay by my side. Her influence inspired me to change, to become more outgoing, and to move closer to her brightness. Over time, people began to speculate about our relationship. After all, the campus beauty and a plain, ordinary boy made for an unlikely pair. My insecurities grew, and one day I couldn't help but ask her, why are you so close to me? Because you're my good friend. Her radiant smile was warmer than the sun. The rumors grew more outrageous, but she didn't care. Every day, she walked with me to and from school, studied with me, and never avoided me. Then one day in high school, I mustered all my courage, dressed my best, and asked her to meet me in a quiet grove. There, I confessed my feelings, only to be rejected. I chuckled bitterly, ready to walk away. Jibota, you're amazing. But other than being pretty, I have nothing to offer. Even my cheerful demeanor is fake. I'm afraid I'm not good enough for someone as brilliant as you. But I don't want to miss out on you. Would you still want to be with me? As her words sank in, I realized my face was already wet with tears of joy. I pulled her into my arms, feeling as if I had gained the whole world. Liu Ruyan, don't worry. I'll love you forever. I will too. When our relationship became public, many couldn't understand it. Beauty and the Beast Liu Ruyan must be blind. Jibota must be blackmailed her. But as young and reckless as we were, we ignored all the noise. Every day, we clung to each other, encouraging one another, basking in sunshine and hope. He knew my family and was always trying different ways to make me happy. He told me that I should be cheerful and a little son like him. I held his hand and swore in my heart that I must work hard to give him a very good life. In this way, in the midst of everyone's misunderstanding and targeting, we went through the most difficult and happiest 3 years hand in hand. There are several watersheds in life, and the college entrance examination is one of them. His habit of not caring about anything made him fail the college entrance examination. His family arranged for him to study abroad. Because of my good foundation, I finally entered one of the best universities in China. Advanced school. The day I sent him abroad, I was reluctant to let him go. He was in tears. The eyes that always loved to smile became red and swollen. Baby, you must video chat with me every day. You must tell me a lot of things. Wait for me to come back and marry me. Okay, I will definitely wait for you to come back. To make me feel at ease. He took me to meet his family. In front of his family. We made a lifelong commitment to each other. All obstacles disappeared. I thought we could really be together for a lifetime. Worked hard at part-time jobs. In order to spend more time with him. But I underestimated human nature. Underestimated time. Underestimating the change. When Liu Ruyan closed the screen of her phone, there was a sound of something being smashed in the next room. The moment the sound was made, Ruyan had already opened the door like a spring. It's so late. What are you going to do? Something seems to be going on in Ito Castle. I'm worried. As soon as the words fell, the person had already left. If he listened carefully, he would hear the trembling in my steady voice. If he turned his head, he would find the redness in the corners of my eyes. Looking at his resolute back, it seemed that he was protecting me the same way back then. Maybe I was too sad, but I laughed instead. Ito Chen didn't even shout a word. He hurried over. It turns out that my only son is also someone else's son. Lying on the bed, I quietly recalled the past few years. 3 hours passed. No one came back. When I got up and was about to look for him, I accidentally touched his phone that he forgot to take away. The screensaver lit up. My heart sank to the bottom of the sea. The screensaver was a close photo of my girlfriend Liu Ruyan and Ito Makoto. The beautiful girl and handsome guy were extremely pleasing to the eye. Liu Ruyan smiled happily. And in the background, it was my first official date with him. The background of the amusement park is too familiar to me. I also remembered the circle of friends Liu Ruyan posted some time ago. The text was that it was normal to take a photo with you. I thought he was talking about me. He also commented below, wait for me baby. Liu Ruyan likes the amusement park the most. He also promised me that he would not go to our happy place with the opposite sex casually. It turned out that he had broken his promise a long time ago. Out of sixth sense, I was eager and uneasy to open his phone. Fortunately, the passwords Liu Ruyan set were all his birthdays. I clicked on his photo album. Those intimate photos together. It stung my heart. They were eating together, playing together, and having fun together. I opened WeChat again in a trance. What came into view was that I had changed from me to Ito Chang. I was like a maggot crawling in the dark, spying on their chat records. It turned out that every time I was tired, stressed by schoolwork, and annoyed by life, I was just making excuses for him and Ito Chang to have a pleasant chat. I was naive to understand him and give him enough personal time. It really explained the saying that if the sun doesn't shine on you, it must be warming others. People. Somehow. I clicked on his profile picture again. In the circle of friends. There were many dynamics I had never seen before. There was the warmth of him and Ito Makoto cooking together. There was the cuteness of him drinking late at night. I slipped unconsciously. And your dynamics. Waiting for my baby's comment. I don't know when it was deleted. What replaced it was a sentence. When did you break up with that ugly guy? I'm still waiting for you. Sister Liu, didn't he reply? Didn't he delete? Only Liu Ruyan silently agreed. I closed the phone helplessly. The strength of my whole body was taken away at this moment. So I tried hard. To come here, am I going to be a ridiculous clown? I came to my senses. It was already 7:30 in the morning. The half-closed door was pushed open. Messy hair. Clothes that had been arranged. Jiboda was embarrassed. Ito Chang had sleepwalking. I was worried about him. So I went out to check for a while. Liu Ruyan said with an apologetic look on her face. Why did it take so long? I said lightly. Seeing that I hadn't said anything yet, Liu Ruyan screamed like a kitten with its fur standing on end. Then I must wait until Ito Chang fell asleep before I can come back at ease. Seeing that I was silent, he was full of impatience. Ito Chang is a very nice person. I am in a foreign country. He always helps me. Liberta, can you not be so petty? I hope you two can become good friends. Some things have already happened. So there is no need to argue anymore. Turning my back to Liu Ruyan. I am tired, I will sleep for a while. After running around all day. I have no emotions. I slept until 1 p.m. in a daze. Liu Ruyan said she has time in the afternoon. She can accompany me to look around. In a trance. I seemed to see the sweetness of Liu Ruyan before she went abroad. She happily told me that it was fun to go abroad and that she must take me there when I go there. Moment. Looking at her happy face. I still couldn't bear to tell her. I had already booked the return flight. Well, we booked a few representative attractions. And those attractions are all where he and Ito Makoto had intimate photos. Look at that big statue. Ito Makoto hit his head. This bench. Once. Ito Makoto and I had a long talk here all night. This is Ito Makoto's favorite building. But I kept talking about Ito Makoto. When we passed by a men's clothing store. Liu Ruyan walked in. See if there are any clothes you like. Buy a few and take them back. Go, but he seems to have forgotten. He said that not going into a men's clothing store is his bottom line. Now he has really changed. He already has the answer in his heart. But he still asks unwillingly. Don't you not go into a men's clothing store? Liu Ruyan has an indifferent attitude. It's still Ito Makoto's fault. I bought a few clothes with him before. Then I got used to it slowly. I also asked him to pay for it before, but I knew he didn't like it, so I still respected it. But now I don't need to buy clothes. Liu Ruyan didn't seem to hear what I said. She took a picture with the men's clothing. She lowered her head and looked smiling, fiddling with the phone that he had never let go of during the whole journey. Selling this one. I turned up the volume to pay the bill. Repeatedly, I said I don't need to buy clothes. If you don't want to buy, then don't buy. Why are you speaking so loudly? Liu Ruyan's tone was full of disdain. Then you bought this for Ito Chang. He just happened to have no clothes. Buy it for him. Everything is clear. I pulled the corner of my mouth. Let's go. Seeing my attitude, Liu Ruyan's face flickered. I'm mainly here to accompany you today. This dress is really just bought for him. See if there's anything you like. I'll give it to you. I followed his words. Raised his hand and pointed at the bag in Liu Ruyan's hand. I want the one in your hand. Liu Ruyan looked at the direction of my finger. With an unpredictable look on her face. This Ziboda dress doesn't suit you. See if there are any other ones you like. I smiled. But I just like this one. This limited edition dress has been sold out. And I've told Ito Chang that it's not good to give it to you. Why is it not good seeing me being so unreasonable? Liu Ruyan looked impatient. Ito Chang is handsome and tall. This dress will be more valuable when he wears it. Look at you. Even if I already know the situation, but the hurtful words are still like knives and spears. Every word tore my heart apart. The way he accused me in front of everyone was completely different from the way he stood in front of me and fought back. I became more and more silent. When we were together, no one understood me. They all targeted me, saying that I was a toad, saying that I threatened him, saying that I was unworthy. Every time I heard these words, Liu Ruyan was always more excited than me, the person involved, and would refute and defend me more. He would tell me that I was good and that others were just jealous of my good grades and jealous that I had him. The one who loves you most knows what words hurt the most. I don't care what others say. But now it's my only son. Seeing my eyes reddened, and my hands clenched tightly into fists, Liu Ruyan gradually realized that she had stopped accusing me. She was at a loss and explained weakly. Boda, you know, I didn't mean that. You like this one? Then I'll buy this one for you. Ito Chang, I'll tell him. As soon as I finished speaking, Ito Chang appeared at the door of the store by coincidence. Next to him, there stood an exotic foreign beauty. Even if from Liu Ruyan, who was a school beauty, also lost her luster. Liu Ruyan was obviously uneasy. Liu Ruyan, I just happened to be on my way to pick up the clothes you bought for me. Ito Chang deliberately dragged out the word specially with a proud look. Sorry, Liu Ruyan gave it to me. Looking at Ito Chang's happy face, a man's self-esteem forced me to turn the tables. Liu Ruyan, is it true? Liu Ruyan didn't have time to explain. Ito Chang took the woman away, leaving only a good word. And I looked at Liu Ruyan, who was now nervous, coldly, and counted secretly in my heart. 32. It's ridiculous. Before I could count to 3 seconds, Liu Ruyan hurriedly ran to Ito Chang and left. She said without looking back, it's all your fault. Suddenly, I was the only one left in the store. I handed the package that fell on the ground to the clerk. Hello, can I return this? The clerk was a boy. He listened to everything I just said. After a few seconds of silence, he said in a comforting tone, Brother, you are so tall. You will look like a supermodel in this dress. If you really want to return it, we will handle the refund for you. You see, strangers will take care of each other's emotions, but my girlfriend will not, because she only has Ito Chang in her heart. No thanks. Qianyuan Road has been refunded. I plan to change the ticket to tonight, but the luggage is still in Liu Ruyan's room. Because I don't have the key, I still have to call Liu Ruyan. There were 3 beeps and 3 beeps. No one answered. Since when did Liu Ruyan start refusing to call me? It wasn't until the phone battery was 7% and the sky was getting dark that Liu Ruyan's call came in. Come. It's very noisy over there. It seems like they're having a party. Excuse me. Boda, I have something to do now. You go home and eat something first. I don't have the key. There was silence for a long time on the other end of the phone. Finally, he said abruptly. Then I'll send you an address. You come and get the key. After that, he hung up the phone. I took a taxi to the door of a person's house. Knocked on the door. The woman who appeared in the afternoon took me in. As soon as I entered, I saw colorful ribbon lights flashing. The shouting was deafening. Walking to the person sitting on the sofa, Liu Ruyan was next to me. He reached out for the key. Several people next to him looked me up and down. They teased me jokingly. Sister Liu, you are not living with our handsome guy Ito Chang anymore. Who is this ugly guy? Yes, he looks disgusting. So ugly. Liu Ruyan did not refute me. Instead, he reluctantly said, don't talk nonsense. This is my boyfriend who is far away in my motherland. Everyone looked embarrassed at this time. The originally lively room suddenly became silent. After a long time, a woman sitting next to Liu Ruyan looked me up and down. Speaking their native language. Sister Liu Ruyan. What kind of vision do you have? Not even half as good looking as Ito Chang. So ugly. If it wasn't for Liu Ruyan saving us. How could this Yanju? This ugly guy get in? Break up quickly. Be with Ito Chang. Liu Ruyan thought I didn't understand. Just kept silent. But in order to be with you better. I learned the language after a long time by myself. But in the end it was used to attack myself. We broke up. You can be with handsome Ito Chang. I interrupted their harsh words. Take the key, Liu Ruyan put on the table. Turned away. At the moment the door was closed. Liu Ruyan didn't say a word in reply. But let their words get worse and worse. Back to the apartment. When I was about to take a taxi to the airport. My senior brother called me. You said you were going there before. You're still not there. But I am ready to go back. My tutor said that we have a cooperation project with the university. But I have something to do and cannot go. My tutor asked me to ask you to go. The expenses will be reimbursed. I was stunned. A university is the school where Liu Ruyan is. My senior brother heard that my tone was wrong and asked in confusion. Is it inconvenient for you? No, that's fine. You have a senior sister who is working in a foreign country now. If you have any inconvenience, ask your senior sister. I told him. The moment I hung up the phone, a friend verification message popped up. Okay, I am your senior sister Shen Man. After passing the friend verification, I told my senior sister about my situation. Then she arranged a place for me to stay. This place is close to Yi University. It is not in the suburbs. The transportation is still very convenient. You can live there first. Where are you? I will drive over to show you the surrounding situation. I replied politely. Hello, senior sister. I stood with my luggage. At the door of the apartment, I waited for my senior sister to come over. The silent Liu Ruyan also came over. Her originally irritable expression suddenly became angry after she saw me carrying my luggage. What are you doing? You have been here for only a few days and you have made so many troubles. I am too lazy to argue with him. It's not a breakup. Can you be more generous? My friends are just joking. Do you have to embarrass me in front of them? Ito-chan is not so stingy. I clenched my fists. It turns out that it's not just the weather that's cold, but also the words of the person. After a moment of weakness, I stared at the familiar yet strange face and said tremblingly in my heart. Liu Ruyan, you were not like this before. I am tired. Okay, then go tell my parents. He blurted out what was in his mind without thinking. Following his wishes, I took out the phone in my pocket and prepared to call his parents who didn't like me in the first place. Have you really thought it through? Who will love to see me so much if you leave me? It doesn't look like a joke. Liu Ruyan was anxious. Do you still remember what you promised me? Liu Ruyan didn't say anything. Forget it. It's normal not to remember. After all, it's just one sentence. We have been together for a long time. So long that the memory is beginning to blur. So long that I can forget the silence at the beginning. So this is why Liu Ruyan fell in love with someone else. Tears rolled in her eyes. A car drove up in her sight. From behind Liu Ruyan, Ito-chan came panting. Liu Ruyan, why did you leave? I brought you your coat. Looking at their intimate behavior, I felt an unprecedented disgust. You two really make me sick. Ito-chan suddenly faced me and bent over. If it was because of me that you and Liu Ruyan had a conflict, I apologize to you, but please don't treat her like this. She will feel bad. You see, every word is for Liu Ruyan. This makes me look like a petty person who loses his temper. Liu Ruyan saw Ito Makoto's humble look. She couldn't bear it. She immediately protected Ito Makoto behind her, just like she protected me. Ito Makoto, you are not wrong. He is wrong. There is nothing wrong between us. But Liu Ruyan, brother Jiboda just came not long ago. Why did he act like this all of a sudden? All I can think of is whether he looked at your phone. Ito Makoto's aggrieved words fell into Liu Ruyan's ears. In an instant, he looked at me coldly. It goes without saying that it was very interesting to me. Liu Ruyan seemed to have more confidence to scold me after getting affirmation. Jiboda, do you respect me like this? You can peek at my phone casually. And you also know that I, Fujima and Makoto are innocent. Why do you want to slander us? The emotions of endurance were triggered at this moment. Veins popped up. I tried my best to endure and not to fight. When you left me at night and stayed in Ito-chan's room for 3 hours, what did I say? Liu Ruyan, who was guilty and biased, retorted guiltily. So you are so wretched. I said it was because Ito-chan had sleepwalking. I was worried about it. That's why I stayed for so long. Jiboda, look at what you are like now. You are sensitive and unreasonable. You think everyone looks down on you. But what about Ito-chan? No matter who it is, you can play together. Cheerful and interesting. What dog is barking? A sports car stopped in front of him quickly. Liu Ruyan immediately pulled Ito Makoto aside and prepared to go forward to settle accounts with the owner of the car. The next second, the car door opened. A plump and beautiful woman came out. After seeing the woman clearly, when I saw Liu Ruyan, Ito-chan quietly and Liu Ruyan left a short distance. The woman in front of me walked around the two of them and came to me. She stretched out her hand and said openly. Jibo answered, I am your senior sister. What? I shook hands with her. Hello, senior sister. Get in the car. When passing by Liu Ruyan, the senior sister seemed to be venting her anger for me. She dropped the coffee in her hand onto Liu Ruyan's feet. I looked at Liu Ruyan's constipated expression and found it a little funny. After getting in the car, I whispered, thank you, senior sister. Shenman waved her hand. What do you want senior sister to say? When the dog barks, you still have to fight back. But I have been inferior and cowardly since I was a child. It has grown into my bones. How can I change so easily? Seeing that I was silent, the senior sister teased me and said, forget it, forget it. Your senior brother told me not to teach you bad things. Anyway, just don't let others bully you. You guys senior should have sent you the information. You should prepare well in the next few days. You will have to give a report and speech at the university. You may also need to communicate with the project team of the university and exchange opinions. I nodded and agreed. I concentrated on writing the report in the next few days. Liu Ruyan's brother called me. My sister said that you are breaking up with him. You know he can get along with anyone. Maybe he didn't pay attention to the limits. Please bear with me. Liu Ruyan must still like you very much. It's not easy for you two to get together. Don't give up so easily. I lowered my eyebrows and stared at the white paper with ink on the tip of the pen. Brother, the dirty paper can be restored, but the heart can't be restored. I hung up the phone. Less than a minute later, Liu Ruyan called for the first time in the past few days. You are sick. You and what did my brother say something between the two of us? Something about Ito Chang. Before he could finish, I hung up his phone for the first time in my life and blocked all his contact information. After the project is completed, I will go back. Maybe I will never set foot on this land that makes me sad again. The night before the huge event, Shen Man sent several cooperation letters from big teams. The ones on the top were Liu Ruyan and Ito Makoto. Their team was Liu Ruyan. The project letter that rejected my video call every day. I took it up and looked at it carefully. I couldn't help laughing. It turned out that the project letter he said took a lot of time to calculate and consider was just such a child. The lecture hall was full of people. I followed the person in charge of Lei University to prepare the process in the background. I saw Liu Ruyan and Ito Makoto standing on the other side, ready to copy Bei data. When she saw me, Liu Ruyan, who was holding Ito Makoto's hand, immediately let go. I didn't want to see her hesitant look. I walked around him and went to the machine to copy my own data. On the other side, Liu Ruyan was coaxing Ito Makoto, who had just let go of her hand and had an opinion. Looking upset, she came to the balcony to breathe some fresh air. Shen Man followed in and leaned on the railing. Oh, junior brother, why don't you add fuel to the fire? I ignored her. Asked about the doubts she had last night. How did they convince the teacher to pass the project that was so badly written? Shen Man shook her head. I don't know either. I didn't follow this project. The speech began. I went on stage and made a brief self-introduction. Liu Ruyan sat in the first row and saw that I was the speaker and was shocked. Jibo replied. Liu Ruyan. The teacher next to her looked at Liu Ruyan like this. He said happily, you know this person. He is very capable. He is the best in this field. The teacher even accepted him as his last disciple. If you want to win an award in this field, you can communicate with him more. And this boy has a good character. I just don't know which good girl got it. Liu Ruyan, a girl in the team said sarcastically, yes, that girl is really blind. Such an excellent boy dumped him. The teacher was a little surprised and regretful. That's a pity. If you work on a project with this person, you will basically have no problem winning an award. Liu Ruyan's face was embarrassed. She stared at me for a long time. I pretended not to see it and continued to adjust. Clearly, she gave a speech on the project manual of our team. The applause from the audience was thunderous. It's true that every generation has its own talents. Mr. Zhang has a successor. I saw him today. It's really good. I was in a chorus of praise. I sat in the judge's seat. Soon it was Liu Ruyan's group's project report. I didn't expect that each of them was worse than the other. The explanation of the report was unfounded. The data was wrong. Even the most basic things in the PPT were wrong. I listened to the whole process with a frown. Ito Makoto stood on the stage without saying a word. The audience gradually began to discuss. Isn't this Ito Makoto? I heard that he is sunny and cheerful and has strong abilities. Today he is like this. It's really embarrassing. I guess he is just being clever at ordinary times. He is very capable just by passing it around. I started the practice of commenting. I took the microphone passed to me one by one and commented as fairly as possible. Let's not look at the difficult part first. Even the most basic calculations can be written wrong. Is it perfunctory or fake ability? And the explanation is also a mess. There are too many problems without putting my own understanding into the explanation. Still need to practice more. Compared to Ito Makoto, who had been protecting Liu Ruyan before. He lowered his head and remained silent after being exposed. When the judges continued to comment, Shen Man came behind me. She said with a gossipy face. I just went to my friend to ask about this Ito Chang. I heard that this guy relied on his good looks to have several girlfriends at the same time. This Ito Chang hooked up with the female leaders of several teams in order to be able to sign the project. That Liu Ruyan was probably deceived. Yes. She also hooked up with a female teacher from Baida before and was supported by someone. Relying on her sunny looks and considerate personality. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Shen Man thought I was very interested and continued to chatter. If you ask me, she can't compare to you, my junior brother. You are really capable. Senior sister, you are too noisy. Shen Man seemed to be hurt. She covered her chest pretending to be uncomfortable. Junior brother, you actually started to blame me. Report end. Getting ready to go home. Liu Ruyan came over in a hurry. Her original exquisite makeup had been ruined. Boda, wait for me. I looked at him strangely. What's the matter? He paused. Stupefied by my indifference to him. Are you still angry? I shook my head. Seeing me shaking my head, Liu Ruyan immediately became happy. Took the opportunity to come over. Took my hand as intimately as before. I found that I still like you the most. Ito Chang is not as good to me as you are. Can we start over again? I hid away. While saying no, Liu Ruyan looked at me hiding. Then looked at Shen Man beside me. Sneered and said. Why do you always get angry with me when you come here? It turns out that there are other women already. Pretending to come to me. Are you here to find this woman? You are so disgusting. Gee, Boda is right, as the old saying goes. Ugly people are more likely to do bad things. Because of Liu Ruyan's sarcasm in the midst of thin words, Shen Man beside me slapped Liu Ruyan in the face. Not long after, the husband of the female teacher who supported Makoto Ito came to the school and threw out all the evidence in front of all the teachers and students. The transfer bills and bed photos were all proof of their immoral lives. Makoto Ito changed his sunny self and knelt on the ground crying and begging for forgiveness. Unfortunately, he had already been ruined. Who could save him in the end? He dropped out of school amid everyone's discussion. At the same time, the inferior projects of Liu Ruyan's team were also cancelled. The relationship between them was completely exposed. In the study abroad circle, and even on the internet, it caused a sensation. Liu Ruyan couldn't stand it and dropped out of school and returned to China. On the day of returning to China, Liu Ruyan contacted me through my friend's phone. When we met again, her originally beautiful face had already lost its original luster. Boda, I remember what I said at the beginning. I said I would be with you forever. Can you give me another chance? I promise I will do it. I am still your son, right? Unfortunately, things that have changed cannot be restored. Now I can give myself a better mood and life. I have also left that unfortunate family of origin. There are no sarcastic villains laughing at me. I have become my own son. I shine in my own field. Everyone has begun to respect me. As long as you think of me, you will have the words such as capable, responsible, and excellent. Although I don't have a handsome appearance, I can still be charming and radiant. Looking at the sun that has just risen, I smiled with relief. I shouldn't feel inferior. Everyone has different advantages. There is no need to care about other people's opinions. We are all the protagonists in our own world.